Yo. Jamali, I love you. I love you, Jamali, man.
I wish the feelings was mutual, you fuckface.
Are we recording? So why'd you delete her, bro? Yo,
Tyler, can you turn off the mic, please? Can we restart that? Please turn off the mic and restart that. I'm not with it.
You know I don't cut shit.
I'm fucking dead.
Yo, you can't like restart?
No.
You guys are retarded. Lord, what the fuck do I subject myself to this every week?
All right, guys.
Yo, we're not talking about nothing we spoke about before.
For weeks, Tyler and I have been trying to figure out.
Oh, you guys are fucking retarded.
The women that have been calling this man Jamali's phone. Like, he would get calls and reject them or answer them and be like, yo, let me call you right back.
Why would reject? I don't know what you're talking about.
He just answered the phone just now.
He's rejecting requests.
Yo, a girl came on the phone mad hot because apparently he rejected a request for Instagram from a shorty.
You're so dumb, bro.
Hey.
This is not podcast material. This is my private life, bro. Chill the fuck out.
We ain't saying no names.
We don't need to talk about it.
I just want to know, when did you become such a hot commodity?
You're crazy.
That you out here just picking and choosing, my guy.
Picking and choosing, bro. You literally know I just started Instagram like last week.
Exactly.
I don't know how to do half of this shit.
But you know how to reject a request.
I didn't reject shit, bro. You're so fucking immature, bro. Yo, Jason better delete this shit. Dead ass.
Nah, ain't no deleting, bro. Like I said, we ain't saying no names.
Bro, we're not even supposed to talk about this shit, bro.
Relax.
Yo, Jason's gonna delete this shit.
No, he ain't. He's probably listening to this, laughing his ass off right now. Because this has been a great mystery. We got a name. We ain't gonna tell y'all. We got a name. And
Bro.
She cute. Got a couple. Yeah, that's true. We do got a couple names. But this one in particular, she cute. I mean, hey, Jamali, man.
You're ridiculous.
Hey.
I can't have female friends.
You can have all the female friends you want.
Exactly. So why you gotta make a deal out of it? Like, to me, that's whack.
when they called a bit heated about requests being deleted.
Heated.
I don't know, man. That maybe she thinks
she was not heated.
I'm just saying maybe she thinks.
There's nothing about. You don't even know. How are you gonna say maybe she thinks?
I don't know. I'm trying to find out.
So yeah, how about you shut the fuck up? Yo, you're on it. Oh my god, this is so ridiculous, bro.
Oh my god, I'm loving this because I've been sick all week, man. So it's like it's a little pick me up at the end of the week.
I'm glad I could fucking help you.
Oh man, you're the best. That's why I love you, man. That's why you're my bro.
Shut the fuck up.
Stop being so aggressive.
Have my beer.
All right, should we introduce the podcast?
Yes, this is where the real podcast begins.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Don't Be Mad podcast. Your weekly dose of us just kicking back, having drinks, and laughing at all the chicks that call Jamali, but he doesn't answer.
Yo, I don't reject nobody's call. Why the fuck you gonna put that out there, bro?
Two calls rejected tonight. You're on a roll, buddy. You're on a roll, buddy.
This is not life, bro. What the fuck?
I'm your boy, Matthew.
Do I put your business out there?
I mean, you could.
I don't.
I really wouldn't
Out of
stop
simple
you.
Respect.
As long as you don't say names, I really wouldn't stop
it's
you.
respect. That's your personal life, bro.
I brought my personal life on the podcast.
Yeah, by
You're the
choice.
only one who's here, like, on a podcast, trying to be like this mysterious figure.
I'm not a mysterious figure at all.
It took you how long to get an Instagram?
That's my personal choice.
Well, it's my personal choice to say I'm Matthew, and I'm joined here as always with
Guy, Jamali. We back at it.
And it's just the two of us, like good old times. That's why we're cracking these jokes.
Only one person's laughing. So
He's got people at home. He's got a smile on his face. Okay, don't make him fool you.
There's no smile on face, but annoyance.
Annoyance.
Fucking guys, man.
Look, there's a lot of men that would love to be in your position, where not only are they getting calls and texts from women, but they're rejecting them.
Not rejecting. I was not in the capability of answering the call. So.
It just means you're in that position where you make the rules. You call the shots. You know what I'm saying?
Making this more than what it really
You're
is.
top dog.
You shut the fuck up, nigga.
You're top dog.
Shut up, bro.
My man. So how was your week? How's the mental health? How's
It was
all
a good
that
week
stuff, man?
until 15 minutes ago. It was a great motherfucker.
Oh, don't blame it on us.
Literally. You
Don't
guys,
blame it on us.
You guys ruined my week and the beginning of my weekend. Hope you guys are happy.
I'm glad to be a part of your change in emotional feelings. At
Not
least
a
it
positive
lets me
one.
know you have range.
This really showed you I had range. Yes.
Oh, man. My week was a bit shitty, to be honest. I've been sick for most of it. Work was hectic as hell. I couldn't even go trick-or-treating with the little ones, man.
Too grown for that shit anyway.
No, I'm not dressing up in costume or anything.
Did
but
you check their candies?
Yeah, of course. You know, like when they come home with the bags, you got to check the candies and then take the ones you like.
No, not like that, loser. Bro, I read
You leave them with all the rockets.
I read somewhere at least 4 cases of where kids were like drugged, bro.
Wait, what type of drugged?
Like I don't even know, Molly or some shit, like whatever.
Wait. People are actually putting like the good drugs in candy?
I don't know, bro. Ecstasy, I don't know, bro. That's fucked up.
You know, all these years, taking the kids out, searching through their candies, I've been praying for one to smell like weed.
What?
Yeah.
You would
Slip
eat
a couple edibles in there so I can take it away and be like, nope, this one's got drugs, and then enjoy them later.
You would eat it.
Hey, if it's got a little THC in there.
But you don't even know who made it.
Look, I'm just hoping it's a milligram amount that I can handle. And then if it's a bit too much, like I wouldn't take a full bite. You bite a quarter.
Someone dropped it in their toilet and put it in there.
Okay, come on, man.
Yo, that's disgusting. I would never.
I'm
do
talking about the THC and the CBD.
First of
I'm
all-
not talking about the toilet water candy.
But for real though, if someone's dropping that in a kid's bag, it's because they have malicious
fucked up.
intent. Like,
yeah, that's fucked
so I
up.
wouldn't trust to eat it either.
I mean, like, at the very least, when I get to the door with the kids, give me a wink. So I
like
know
this one's for you.
that one in particular, like, you're going to want to check this. And I'm like, I will.
You guys are crazy.
Like, give me a heads up. So at least I know when I'm diving through the candies, the one that smells special was the one that I got the wink for.
Right.
And then I can enjoy a quarter or a half of that later. But
No,
like I said, all my years going through the candies, never found a single thing. I'm slightly disappointed.
Why?
I feel like the government's been lying to us, but now you're saying apparently there's
Bro, how
Molly
many
in
cases
candies.
like years ago were needles, razor blades?
So they say. But where have they been?
There were reports of that on the news and shit.
Yeah. On the news.
Oh.
Hundreds of kids throughout the years.
1,000 million.
Close to me or within the 6 degrees of separation. Never heard a case.
Well, you guys are lucky and blessed.
I'm just saying drug dealers do better. I'm joking, people. I'm joking.
I'm sure
okay?
drug dealers are not taking their hard-earned
But that's
profit
what I
buying
mean. It's
candies
like this idea of like candies being like
tampered with.
laced with drugs. Like no, like then you're losing profit at that point. Unless you're just a terrible hustler.
Or a terrible person.
If you're a terrible person, I'm expecting the razor blades. But then it's like razor blades. Like come on. Like how exactly are you slipping the razor blades in the can?
I don't know. I couldn't see the way.
Crazy shit. And then the needles? Like, what type of needle are they using? Like the tiny ones
I've
for
never
sewing?
seen it, so I don't know.
I know we're on a bit of a tangent.
Yes, please. Better than what we
But
started
as I was
with.
saying, yeah, I was sick, which sucked. Like, dude, what was it? I think it was after we had our meeting Went home. Was feeling a bit off. A bit of a fever kicking in.
Sad.
Yes, how sad. How sad for me.
Not at all.
I was like in the kitchen making some tea. So I'm like, you know what? Make some ginger, honey, and lemon tea. Really help the throat, help the congestion. It's the best thing to do.
That's good, man. I'm happy for you.
Can you indulge me in my story for a bit? Since you don't want to talk about your situations, I'm going to talk about mine.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to talk about my shit, okay? Thank you. So as I'm making the tea, I have the sneeze of all fucking sneezes. Like, I've never sneezed like this in my life. It literally, I felt it through my spine. It was fucking nuts. Then out of nowhere, I'm getting a fucking nosebleed. I haven't had a nosebleed in so freaking long, I couldn't even tell you the last time I had one. But just gushing out like fucking ridiculous. To the point where it's like, I'm literally like over the fucking sink. Just like letting it all rush out because you don't throw your head back because you can fucking drown yourself. Which is ridiculous. But that's just to let you know. That was the beginning of my fucking week. After I was with you guys, I think one of you guys fucked me up. I don't know which one it was.
Clearly not me.
I'm blaming you or Jason.
Jason's not here.
Because you're always into some foul shit. Well, Jason's sick, so it might have been him.
Yeah.
He might have fucked me up. And now, I'm letting it be known. When I figure it out, you get in these hands. Because I know you don't square up.
You want to test? You want to test your luck?
Yo, we can do it after the podcast, man. I got no problem with that.
All right.
Tyler's got a nice balcony out there.
You
got any mats or some gloves? We don't need it. I like it. Bare knuckle style.
Continue your story, please.
Basically, all week I've been heavily medicated.
Nothing new.
Huh?
Nothing new, but go ahead.
What's your issue today?
I'm just saying. Nothing new. You're always heavily medicated throughout the week.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of marijuana, bro. It's legal now.
Right. Right.
Right.
10 years ago, too, it was legal, right?
It was for me. I'll tell you that much. It was legal in my household.
Hey. Yeah. So I'm glad you're feeling better.
I'm fucking sick, man. I'm like, you can hear it in my voice. I'm still fucking sick.
And you're going out tomorrow.
Hell yeah. We got to go to our good friend's party.
We?
Well, if you weren't a little bitch about it. Yo, Tyler's reaching. Yo, Tyler's he wants to meet the infamous friend.
I definitely can't make it. I cannot trust neither of you individuals.
Yo, me and Tyler are going to take pictures with the birthday girl. It's going to be a good time. Oh, Tyler said more than pictures. My guy.
Yep.
He's going for it.
I guess dreams
He's circling
do come true.
Second, going to third.
I guess dreams do come true around here.
Oh,
Make a wish around this motherfucker.
If you wish hard enough and put in the work, anything could be achieved, my friend.
That's good. Glad to know. I'll take note for next time.
Jamal is crazy, though. Tomorrow, we have a good friend of ours, mutual friend. She's hosting an early 2000s hip-hop themed party where she's like, it's a costume party, dress up for the event. The only admission is bring a bottle of alcohol. And this guy doesn't want to reach out.
You have a lot of things to do tomorrow.
A lot. You got a lot of things to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this party's at night.
Yeah.
You have things to do within the hours of 10 p.m. and 3 a.m.?
Yeah.
Like what?
Personal shit.
Oh, it's probably one of the
No.
one of the girls that you rejected tonight.
Oh, you're such a loser. Get off that, bro. Get off that. Yo, where's Jason when you need him?
Yo, Jason is homesick.
He's not sick, bro.
He better be sick.
Yeah, I'm sure he's sick.
Because I mean, I'm sick and I'm here.
But
he better be so sick that he can't get off the bed.
Bro, he was at work. He drove himself home.
Oh, then there's no excuses, Jason. What the fuck? What are you doing?
I'm enjoying some background
Get your list
music.
out. We're going to start. This pregame banter is just me
It's
talking.
over. It's done. Let's get into the real topics.
I tried to start the show off light because we have some heavy things to talk off first off.
Yeah, next time you start it light on your shoulder, not on my back.
We can start light. I told you, I have no problem talking about my personal life.
Yes,
I do it all the time.
I'm a private individual. Very private.
All right. Do we start with Butler High School in Charlotte?
Oh man,
I want to get all the heavy stuff out the way.
I don't know, man. It's just crazy to think that it's just so. It's like I think people are becoming desensitized to this type of shit now.
Yeah, I think so too, man.
It's happening so frequently. And I mean, it's happening in everything from universities to like elementary schools. Like,
for those of you that don't know, I believe it was last weekend or
Friday.
Yeah, it was either
Friday.
Friday, last Friday that it happened. Literally while we were recording, the story had broke out. But there was a situation where there was a fight that broke out at Butler High School in Charlotte, and one of the individuals pulled out a gun and shot a kid. And I know we hear these school shooting stories all the time, but what makes this one disturbingly unique is the fact that the school, rather than letting the kids out and sending them home, considering what a tragic event just happened, they tried to continue having classes as if
Nothing
happened, you know? Like, basically remove the body, clean up the scene, and back to education we go. And the weirdest thing about it is, like, when South Park started their season this year, they literally had this whole situation depicted.
Really?
Yeah. Like, they predicted this exact scenario, like, almost verbatim, where school shooting is actively happening and kids are just in class continuing their studies as if, like, nothing's going on, you know?
That's crazy.
And it's almost, like, asinine to have this type of situation where art, like, life is mimicking art, because obviously South Park brought this up to bring some type of conversation of awareness of how desensitized we have become to school shootings, but then to actually see it happening in real life right before our eyes, to the point where, like, parents had to fight through, like, police barricades to see their kids who are sitting in class after a shooting happened, you know? Like, it makes absolutely no sense.
Like, I mean, I don't even understand how that's possible, because I was in high school when 9/11 happened. And, I mean, we're in a different country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we couldn't even have regular classes.
No, I remember it too, man.
So how are you going to have a regular class when kids, whether they've seen it, like there, because I'm sure somebody had a cell phone out.
Oh, yeah. There were multiple cell phone videos of the fight specifically.
And you know, people might have known this, the shooter or the victim. How do you try to have an active class with that? Like, to me, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And thinking that the students who literally just witnessed a shooting, at the time it wasn't a murder because the kid was still alive. He died in hospital. But you just witnessed someone get shot. You witness a kid take a bullet, and we're just supposed to act like this didn't happen?
Right.
It's really a ridiculous scenario to force children to be a part of, but on top of that, think anybody would accept as okay.
Because I don't even blame the teachers. I think it's the administration, because even a teacher, you know what I mean, could be traumatized by that.
Oh, of course.
You know
I think
what I mean?
anybody who's in the school at that moment is going to be traumatized by it. So, like, at what level did they make this call of no, school is going to be going on?
I think because I think it's because of the fact there was an altercation that led to this. They figured it was an isolated situation. And it's sort of like, it's not someone here to cause harm to the majority. This happened because of two individuals.
Yeah.
And they figured, okay, well, we got the shooter. We know who the victim is. There's nobody else who's targeted. Nobody else's life, quote unquote, is at risk. You know, it's an isolated situation. Let's continue school.
Yeah.
But regardless of that to me is just the fact that, you know, when someone's exposed to such level of violence, they're not there. No one's present.
And I can understand what your reasoning is of it being isolated, but it's not like an isolated situation of two people fought, somebody got really hurt, and now they're out the school and
but I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying that's probably the way
I get what you're saying. Like, I'm just breaking
it
down a bit further. It's like it's the fact of this is like one of the highest acts of violence that could be committed in a school. You know, like
amounts human,
using a gun on someone, you're actively looking to kill in that sense, or at least that would be the idea.
Severely harm.
Yeah, severely harm or potentially kill.
Right.
So I can understand their idea of it being an isolated incident, but even then, yeah, like you essentially lose the minds of the kids in that moment because they all know what happened. And then on top of that, because of social media, because of things like Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, everybody in school is going to be seeing it. Everyone's going to be watching the same video multiple times from different angles, even at that.
Right.
So at that point, it's like you trying to continue classes as if these kids are even within the class mentally.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So at that point, you got to have some type of awareness to be like, you know what? Let's chalk this day up as a loss. Let's send these kids home. Let's make sure they get home safely, because that would be the proper thing to do given the circumstances.
Right. And I mean, it must have been public. I mean, we've said this numerous times, but like you and I have both been in a situation similar to that. And I remember like this was before, I think Facebook was like just out here in Canada, and like we had to have a student account, have a Facebook. You remember those days?
Yeah.
And I remember like,
student email.
you know, the shooting happened at Dawson, and we were getting calls from friends from Champlain, Vanier.
Oh, the amount of calls that were coming in,
Right.
like you couldn't even, like you couldn't receive calls.
Right, and it was just friends like, are you okay? What's going on?
Yeah.
Where are you? So I can imagine now with like things like Snapchat, Instagram.
It's instant.
Right, it's like,
Yeah.
bro, like that became a conversation within that small town like, within seconds.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
And that's the thing, because you got to think as well, like these are high school students. So
Right.
majority of them, their parents are following them on social media.
Right.
So if you're literally seeing a video that your child just posted up while they're in school, it's a fight, and then you hear gunshots, you're leaving work. Like you're not thinking twice about it. You're literally showing your boss the video, and you're like, I have to go get my kid.
If your boss kid's not even there too, so they're gone too,
that
you know
too,
what I mean?
you know,
So-
given like just the proximity of
Right.
this school and the community.
Right.
So with that alone, it's like you can imagine how within at the very most 5 minutes how widespread the initial videos that went out were to the school, to the immediate surrounding community, and then to everybody who's in any type of connection with these kids.
Right.
You know, like if 3 videos were taken, it spread quickly. You know, it's enough for everybody to be like, yo, this person's in it.
It's not even just a video. It's just like, it's just a kid updating like, oh my God, I'm in school. I heard gunshots.
That too.
And, you
That
know,
too.
they weren't close. You just heard it. What?
Yeah.
That's spreading like wildfire. You know, whether it's your mom, an older sibling, somebody's going to see that and be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know what they're trying to do. Obviously, I think they meant well to continue class. But haven't been in that situation, and I mean, going back into that building days later. It was days later we went back in.
we had a few, I think at least 2-3 days.
And it was just
'cause
two,
I think
3 days and the weekend.
yeah, because it was going into the weekend.
Right. And we went back on the Tuesday.
Yeah, something like
You know
that.
what I mean? So, like, I remember, like, being in class up until maybe, like, that end of that semester, just being like, yo,
Yeah.
we witnessed some crazy shit. You know what I mean?
Like, and that's the thing too. It wasn't like that time away from class and then the weekend and then coming back on the Tuesday we were good.
Bro.
I know, like that
was
time
worse.
away, it was just constantly on our mind, and then going back into the school, it still felt very uneasy because of how easy that situation happened.
Happened, right?
So I remember there was a very long period of just the atmosphere and the energy that
Was never
we
the
would
same.
have in the CJUP. Just it was not the same for a while.
It
So
was completely
to think that
dark and-
this immediately happened and you're
Yeah.
gonna have the same type of energy of, you know what, we know what happened, we can discuss it for this one class or
Right.
like till the class is over and then we're gonna move on. Like no, it's not gonna be that quick of a switch.
No. And I mean, like, you have to also think of, like, external factors. You know, this is in a communal space. Is this going to be, you know, something that's going to carry outside of the school? Is this gang related? You know what I mean? It's all these different things you got to ask yourself. But, you know, I wish those students the best of luck, because it's hard to adapt to something like that.
I do as well, man. Like just from personal experience, then just knowing, just from life experience of this is such a tragic event to happen, and you don't want anybody to experience it. I wish all of them the best. I mourned for the family that lost their child. I just hope as a community they could come together and get beyond this and get back to a normalcy in a sense. But as if that wasn't bad enough, you had the situation that happened in Pittsburgh at the synagogue.
Right.
Another horrible situation where a shooter went into a synagogue of all places. And it's like, yeah, we have so many stories and situations, or better word, events of these shootings happening, but it just feels like there is literally no safe space anymore.
No.
Like, absolutely no place is sacred. There's no rules to just things you do and things you don't do in certain areas, you know?
No.
Like, whether it's a school, a church, a synagogue, like a mosque, like we've lost all sense of like just moral boundary.
Right.
And when you have like this anti-Semite type of attitude towards things that led to what happened in the synagogue, it's honestly, it's so fucking heartbreaking, man.
It is, but I mean, you think about what happened in Quebec.
Yeah.
You know, the mosque shooting that, you know, these like, and it's weird. I don't know about the synagogue situation, but both in South Carolina, was it South?
For what?
The one with Dylan
in
Roof.
the church? Yeah, it was South Carolina.
Right. And then the one in the mosque. From my understanding, these individuals were part of well, at least for Dylan Roof worshiped with those people.
Yeah, he walked in,
sat down.
He wasn't a part of the congregation, but he just walked in when there was a mass happening, and
he sat down and worshiped.
He sat down with them, he worshiped with them, and then at a certain point decided
at the end of it, he decided
carry out the reason he went there in the first place.
You know, and then the mosque, these people are there praying, not disturbing you, and then somebody opened fire. And now here it's like, to me, the whole thing is, I think society, and whether, I'm not going to say news media, I'm not going to say none of this, but there's so many hate that is propagated from a basis of our differences. You know what I mean? Like, you know, until we start seeing each other as just humans and not black, white, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, atheist, whatever you want to call it, you know, until we start seeing that at the end of the day, regardless of whatever choices we make in our personal life, we're all the same. This shit's going to happen, bro.
But I think it goes even beyond that because, I mean, for us, like we've spoken on this podcast before about how fortunate we are to live in Montreal because it's such a multicultural space, because you get the opportunity to meet people that aren't just like you, you know?
Right.
And at a certain point, it becomes a celebration of differences. You know, like the fact that I can, in elementary school, go to school with a white person, with an Asian person, with a Southeast Asian person.
Right.
Like, I meet so many different cultures within my first 2 or 3 years in an educational system that as I'm growing up, there's an understanding of these different cultures, you know, like and it's respected and even promoted to get to know and understand these different cultures because they're so prevalent.
Right.
And within the city itself, you have like certain areas that have been amassed by cultures, but at the same time, it's not exclusive to specific cultures. Like, there isn't a place in Montreal I can't move and be accepted and not be accepted, you know?
No, it's true.
And I think at a certain point, like in these other places, this idea of someone being different from you being a promotional thing has been lost, and this idea that because they're not like you, they shouldn't be respected, and that's what's so heartbreaking with the situation of this with the mosque. It's because when you see somebody who's in a place of worship, practicing their religion peacefully, how is that something that makes you feel like this is the time and place to do this? You know, like, these aren't people who are going out of their way to do something bad. They're literally in their space.
Right. They're not in yours.
You know, like, they're in their space. They're in a space that was built, like, they built for themselves so that they can practice their religious beliefs in a safety and away from others, but at the same time still inviting to others.
Right, but I mean, it comes down to individuals who feel entitled. Like, this is their space and it should be run the way they want it to be run, or it should be only welcoming to certain people. Like, to me, that is stupid. But there's people who think like that. Ignorance. You know, when people tell you, like, I don't know about you, but I've been told before to go back to my country. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Oh yeah, I've been told to go back to Africa.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's just,
I've been told that before.
it's one of those things when you sit down and you think about it, and it's like, you know, this is Earth. You know what I mean? All these boundaries we have are man-made.
Look,
you feel me?
if you tell me to go back to Africa, buy the plane ticket, all right? Because I would like to go there.
Well, I mean, you should go back to your native place too, right?
I'd like to pay it a visit, fuck. But at the same time, that's what I mean. It's like, go back to Europe then, bud.
Yeah. Bon voyage.
You know, like, how about you go back to the place where you started?
Right. You know what I mean? So
Get a bit of your culture in your life.
right. And I mean, to go in and just, and I mean, it's what's sad about it killed a bunch of old people. Like, helpless, defensive,
The most defenseless ones.
people. Like, bro, like, I don't know.
And not that, like, that makes it any different, because it could have been young people, it could have been people our ages.
Right.
They're
But-
still going to be very defensive and in a complete place of vulnerability, because
Right.
they're in a place of worship. You know,
Right.
they're in a place where
But
they're learning about
saying,
culture.
Like, I'm not saying that because they're old, they're defenseless. But it's like, it's almost like when I see an old lady, you know, struggling with her bags, yet though I've never met none of my grandparents, I'm like, oh, that could be, like, you know, somebody's grandmother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You kind, your heart kind of softens.
Yeah,
to
like
that.
you want to help them out,
Right. You
to
know
the
what I
most
mean?
that they're willing to accept.
Right. So to go there and then harm them is just like, what?
Yeah, no, it's
It's just
ridiculous,
stupid.
man.
It's just like someone harming a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, no. Like, it's ridiculous that people are actually, you know, are that cruel. But
yeah, it's
the
like
world
those
we
certain
live in.
situations that really make you look at someone as like you are the ultimate scum of the earth. You know, and I look at it in that type of situation as well, where if you are willing to walk into a place of worship where you will 100% be accepted, and
right.
like, if you look the part or not, like, they're not going to look down on you. They're going to open
But to
arms,
me-
bring you in, and for you to do that, you are the ultimate scum of the earth.
To me, like, I'm not for anybody killing anybody. But for you to interject yourself into someone's space, I didn't feel like you have the right to then disrupt the purity of their space
Yeah.
with your heinous behavior. Like, to me, I don't care if you have mental illness. I don't care about none of these things. To me, it's just like, at some point, your humanistic senses are supposed to kick in and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I guess some of us don't have it. I don't know.
Unfortunately, man. All right, last sad topic before we move on to some nice things. In Leicester City, there was an unfortunate helicopter crash that happened that killed the owner of the team. I
Right.
can only say his first name. I believe it's Vishai.
Yeah.
His last name is, honestly,
Bunch of syllables.
it's very
involved.
complicated to pronounce, and I don't want to butcher it.
Yep.
If I can't pronounce the name, I'm just out of respect. I'm not going to do it. But yeah, like, it was after a match. Usually, this is something that's like a routine thing for them. Apparently, where like the owner would stick behind, you know, talk to fans, talk to players, like do pretty much like a little like PR routine thing, you know,
Right.
like it was very nice. And then at the end of it, helicopter would come on the pitch in the middle of the field. He goes in with whoever he's with at the time. At this time, I think it was his assistant, the pilot and co-pilot.
Oh, right.
And then one of the managers, I believe, or one of like another person part of the board.
Right.
So they all get into the helicopter, and I don't know if you saw the video of it.
No,
I
I
saw the video of the takeoff. Goes up completely normal. You're thinking everything's good, and then it just gets to a certain height where it starts to like basically do its turn, and then it just goes into a tailspin. And you just see it basically sail over the top of the stadium, and then it's out of sight. But everybody's freaking out at that point because obviously the helicopter's
they're fully
never
aware.
done that before, and you're wondering what's gonna will it happen, you know?
Wow.
And I mean, like, as for myself, like I'm pretty much, I follow what's happening in English Premier League. So when this situation happened and the story broke out, it was a pretty big deal because everybody knows this owner is like one of like the more respected ones, you know, like he's very fan friendly. He's always meeting with people. He's always putting on like very good, like, I want to say like charity events and things like that, where essentially like he's always giving back to like the Leicester City fans, and he's always good to the players, to the point where like every single player had nothing but great things to say about him.
Yep.
people that were close to him, family members, had nothing but great things to say about him. So it's such an unfortunate accident that happened that took the lives of 5 people, you know?
Suddenly. That's crazy.
Yeah, extremely suddenly, man.
Because it's crazy, because if that's something you do routinely, is almost...
Like, it's not even a second thought about it,
you don't
know?
think about it.
And to think, like, yeah, just another takeoff happening, and everybody's there, just, you know, people are filming it like they always do, and then, boom, it just crash landing right outside the stadium, man. Such a heartbreaking situation. So to all the Leicester City fans, to Vishai's family, to anybody that's in connection to that, you know, our prayers go out to you as well, like all
Most
the other
definitely.
victims. And, you know, hopefully you find some peace and solace after this tragic event, because I mean, like nobody would have wanted anything like that to happen, and it's so unfortunate that it did happen. All right.
Well, I know this is not on the topic, but I think we should get it out of the way.
Is it more sad news?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
One
a
last
couple
thing.
months back, we spoke on this incident that happened in Montreal, NDG area, of a young man being shot and killed by police officers.
Yeah.
According to them, there was a fight. They showed up on the scene. They tried to tase him twice. Didn't work, non-responsive, and he was pretty much, I guess, shouting, shoot me, and lounging at them with the knife.
That's what we were told.
Right. This week, however, a video surfaced of what actually took place. Nothing like what they described initially.
Yeah. Now, for objective purposes, we will say in the video,
Right.
we don't see the supposed 2 tasing happen.
We hear a mention of it.
Yeah, we hear a mention of it that he was tased and it didn't take him down.
Right.
We don't see it. But then what you do see in the video is, you see, I think, Nicolas Gibbs?
Yeah.
You see him on the street of Maisonneuve, where he got, unfortunately, killed. And he's pretty much...
In the middle of the road.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the road. He's secluded away from everybody, but he's surrounded by police officers, all of which have their guns out,
Right.
all of which are screaming frantically,
Right.
you know, and like they're shouting out things like "drop the knife."
Right.
They're shouting out, you know, to each other, like, be careful of crossfire, because you see like there's cars that are pretty much stuck in the incident at
Right.
the time,
Well,
because
cars.
Maisonneuve is a pretty busy street, even though it's an off street.
Right.
And cars go down it at all hours.
Right. It's a one-way street.
Yeah, it's a one-way street.
Heading
Cars
east.
go down at
Heading
all
west.
hours. And yeah, it's heading west. And so like you're seeing, like, as cars are going by, like this incident is happening because they're literally in the middle of the street. And from this whole thing, it seems like there was no sense of control.
None.
It's very frantic. It's very irritating to watch. And the biggest thing about it is, you know, like this idea that we were told of, like Nicolas saying, shoot me. It wasn't that. What he was
Right.
saying was, you're going to shoot me in front of my kids.
Right.
And you can hear it clear in the video. And they even put like subtitles so you could like read what's being said for like there's certain spaces that were inaudible. But that was one thing that was clearly audible, considering where the person is
the angle,
who's recording the video. Like they look like they're up in an apartment that's maybe a couple floors up. Like they have like a high angle
Right.
of what's going on. And the whole time the cops are just like multiple cops shouting multiple orders.
Right.
And it just seemed like there was no control, there was no order, like nobody took the lead in the situation.
It's
to at
also
least
important
try to diffuse it.
to point out that he was speaking to them in English and they were yelling at him in French.
Yeah, that too.
Right? Until it gets to the point where they're just about to shoot him and they're saying, stop, don't come close, stop.
Yeah.
Right? So not only that, I feel like he got 3 shots facing the police officer. And as he turned away, I guess on the 3rd bullet, it stung him. I don't know. And he was retrieving from, he wasn't even, for me personally, he was close to them. But it wasn't like where he was in an arm reach where he could have just, stabbed any of them. He would have literally had to run towards them. But I could see where the threat, it looks menacing.
Yeah.
But he turned away. and then they still shot him twice after that.
Yeah.
And as he's laying in the grass, they're asking him to get rid of the knife. He just got shot 5 times.
Yeah, they're telling him to throw the knife, and they're also telling
Get
him
him-
to
get on his
roll on his
stomach.
stomach. And yeah, it's like, you just shot a man 5 times. He's on the floor bleeding out. You don't really see any initiative from any cop calling an ambulance. It's all the ones that are there just seem to be shouting at him to get rid of the knife and to roll on his stomach. Like, that's it. That's the only thing that really seems to be happening here. Sorry, guys, that's that sickness again. But yeah, it's honestly it was a tough video to watch, especially since we had the conversation before where
Right.
you know, like at the time we even mentioned it's all speculation because we don't know what was going on,
Right.
but to witness it and see it's just another one of those situations where if there was just a bit more training for these type of situations. And we don't know if these were rookie cops, veteran cops. Like, we can only judge based on what we saw. And what we saw were unprepared cops.
Scared.
They look scared.
Yeah.
They look like this is something that probably was the first time they've ever had to deal with because there was a lot of panic in their voice.
Right.
There was a lot of hesitation in a lot of the ways they were calling for things to happen.
Right.
To the point where there's one moment where one of the cars that's trying to pass through while this thing is happening gets right beside Nicolas Gibbs.
He actually walked towards the car.
Yeah, like he walks like he's walking in the path of the car where he's essentially right beside it. And you're thinking if the police officer really feels like this is a dangerous person, considering he's holding a knife, considering he's not following orders, and he's getting next to a civilian's car who has absolutely nothing to do with the situation, that would have been the moment in which you would have to take some type of tactical operation against him, you know, like approach on this person. And they did nothing in that moment besides yelling at the person in the car to keep driving.
Right.
You know, and I mean, like, if that's what they're trained to do, then so be it. But it just seems like you gave him too much time, especially in that situation where you're trying to isolate him away from the community.
Right.
Where he could have tried at the door. Let's say for some reason the door is unlocked.
Right.
Get inside the car, and now,
Bro, he has a blade. He could punch that window out.
he could that too. It just seemed like there was a lot of sloppiness that happened within that time, and there's enough time in the video to let you know that even, let's say, however long it was prior, a lot of measures should have been taken that weren't taken within that small time frame of the video.
Right.
Who knows what other things weren't done initially.
Right. Also, I just want to point out a few things. It's not I don't want to we don't want to come off as we're bashing the police officers.
Absolutely not.
But to me, if the situation was bad where they had to tase him prior, from what I saw, he was a danger at this point, other than the one car he approached, to himself.
Yeah.
As long as they kept the distance, he wasn't a danger to them. He wasn't running towards them. He didn't have... I don't even think at some point I saw the blade raised towards them to be like, I'm going to come at you.
It seemed throughout the whole video, his hands were down the whole time.
Secondly, when this initial story came out, the reports made it seem as if they were fighting in front of a building. And therefore, he had potential of running back into the building or doing something. I know that street very well. Well, actually, we both know that street very well. He was in an area where there was, on the back end of it, a train track, and in front of him, a park.
Yeah.
And he would have had to at least go a nice 50 to 80 yards to even come close to the building.
I know in that specific spot, yeah, there is a park that's close, but specifically where he got killed was the next block over.
Right.
But yeah, at that point, like, there's no entrances.
And no one else was.
Yeah,
he
like
was
you
isolated.
have to go into the road to get to the entrance.
And
to
because
the
of the
apartment.
angles of where the police were positioned, at this point, just hold your ground.
Yeah.
Even if you want to just talk him out of it, it was possible.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he was just moving up and down in one pattern. He wasn't like he was coming towards them and then moving back.
Yeah.
I just think it was sad to watch a father, a 23-year-old male, like literally just killed for a reason I believe that could have been resolved without that type of violence.
No, I agree with you, man. And sometimes it's that idea of, you know, like in the moment of panic, you gotta find a way to remain calm.
Right.
And I feel like if anybody should do that, it would be the police. And
Right.
they should at the same time understand it's better to keep shouting than it is to pull your trigger, you know?
Right.
Until you are literally at that point of imminent danger.
Right.
Just keep shouting the orders. Keep
Right.
trying to do like whatever you can to like calm the person down.
Right.
Because at that point, like you're really putting yourself in that position where it's like, am I really going to take this person's life?
Right.
Or am I going to find a way to have every single person here walk home alive?
Right. And not only that, like to me, 5 shots excessive. Shooting somebody while they're moving away from you is excessive. And to me, they should shoot for non-vital areas. And I don't even think they shot him like, shoot him in his leg. You know what I mean? Like if you think he's coming towards you and he's dangerous, shoot him in his leg.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If God forbid it hits a main artery and he bleeds out, we could argue that your intention was never to take his life.
Yeah.
It was something that was out of your control.
I think anybody would make that argument if you shot him in the leg.
Right.
And that were to be the outcome. Because
But to shoot someone...
it's obvious.
Right.
You aimed low
Right.
to immobilize the person.
Right. And I know people are going to argue, well, it's easier, center mass is more space to aim at. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, to me, sending off shots, I think to any normal human being who doesn't have the capability of shooting back is worrisome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That alone would make you freeze. And so, you know, what I saw was just unhumane. Because if someone did that to a dog, that person would have been in jail and would have been looked upon as a cruel individual.
Yeah, it would have been a fucking uproar.
So, I mean, it's sad. Like, I'm not saying all police officers are bad. None of us are saying that.
I don't think we're even making that assumption right now.
Do they need better training? Yes.
We're looking at this situation alone and just basically piecing the puzzle pieces together and from what we saw. Right. And what you see in that video is a situation that calmer minds and even calmer voices at that point would have made this situation a lot better.
Yeah, and I do think, honestly speaking, when it's all said and done, these type of situation requires not a negotiator, but someone who's going to use their voice as a weapon and not go for lethal force.
Well, I genuinely feel of the 3 or 4 cops that we saw in that video, if one of the cops decide, look, I'll take the lead, allow me to do all the talking, you guys are just here. We don't need 4 people shouting at him. Just let me make communication. And then at that point as well, don't be communicating with him in French if he's speaking to you in English. Communicate with him in his language. Tell him the orders. Tell him to drop the knife. Tell him to stay back. Get on his hand, on his knees, or get on his stomach, whatever it is. But have one person that's being the one who's, hey, look at me, listen to me, do as I say.
Or even just, I don't even care about dropping a knife because it's not like he's danger. Like if he does something,
well, you have to take. You have to make sure he loses the weapon. Like
I agree with you. I agree with you. My only thing is with people who are like very, angry, enraged, the last thing you should be doing, like drop your weapon. You know what I mean? Like calm. Like could you have a seat? Sit down. You know what I mean? Sit down.
No, and I get that, but you can tell him to sit down. You can tell him to do all those things, but
eventually,
you have to release the weapon.
Absolutely. But I think to say drop your weapon
too is like for them that has to be the first thing they make happen, because if I tell you to sit down and you sit down and like you're listening to all my orders, I still can't come close to you.
Right, but the point is not to necessarily come close. It's to de-escalate first.
Yeah.
So if I get you to sit down, I could then say, what's going on? You know what I mean? Once I get to that stage, I could talk you slowly down off your high energy and be like, you know what? Could you just throw the knife? I just want to come close to you. Just throw the knife away. throw it towards me, throw it in the bushes, throw it somewhere. I think right off the bat, like just coming into the person as just like saying, you know what, I'm gonna approach you like a human and not like someone who's an authority figure.
Yeah.
Would de-escalate the whole situation right away. And I think that's the problem. I think a lot of times police think they're in control of a situation as opposed to de-escalating it. And you gain control at the end, but you don't necessarily go in with control. That's just how I look at it.
No, I 100% agree with you on that, man. And
Because that's the thing, like, drop your weapon. Well, I'm not doing nothing to you, so I shouldn't have to drop my weapon.
I think you should put this in the suggestion box.
Yeah, I really think.
No, honestly, like I agree, man.
At
like,
this point, like
you should be at that point.
Building a conversation.
You should have that presence of mind to be like, we have to defuse this in the best way possible.
Right.
And shouting down somebody, never like. In what situation have you, Tyler, like anybody's ever been in?
We get into arguments all the time.
Yeah.
And you raise your voice, I'm gonna raise mine.
Yeah, but when we do it, it's not a life or death situation.
But it's not even. But that's even why. That's why it even shows a greater deal, right? Because you and I know, once these mics are shut off, we're cool.
Dude, even if the mics are still on, we're dapping each other up. And it's
right,
nothing,
but at
bro.
the same time, when someone, it could potentially harm themselves or harm somebody else. I think
when lives are in danger.
I think that's when you need to be the most humane.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a concept of, like I said, controlling the situation, more so gaining control. Yeah. When you gain control, the person, it becomes, I don't want to use the word submissive, but they become respectful enough to listen to what you have to say.
Yeah.
You engage them. When you're yelling orders at somebody, you're not engaging them. There's no one that's listening to you.
Yeah.
Especially if they want to listen, they're not going to listen to you.
Especially if you have a person who's being a bit erratic and frantic now, like their ego is involved.
Right.
And like pride is a motherfucker in these type of situations.
Let's make this clear. If you want, you could watch the video. But this guy wasn't in any way enraged towards them. No. I think he was upset about whatever happened previously or whatever caused them to be there.
Yeah.
But to say towards them, he wasn't yelling profanities. He was just saying, like, are you going to shoot me in front of my kids?
Yeah.
That's it. To me, that's like, if anything, that shows that he was still there. You could have talked him off the ledge. You could have
literally just kept it calm.
What was the if I'm a police officer and someone said that to me? Yeah, if someone said that to me, my first instinct is like, bro, that's the last thing I want to do. Yeah. I want you to go home to your kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know? And that's the thing too, it's like you can tell that Nicolas in this moment is showing like, hey, I have something to go back to.
Right.
So that should be your point of, all right, let's have him focus on them.
Yeah.
And let that be the focus of how we de-escalate this. Yeah.
Right.
We're not going to shoot you in front of your kids.
No.
We want you to go back home to your kids.
Yeah.
But at the moment, we need you to put down the weapon.
Yeah.
So at the very least, we can have what's happening here be over with.
Right.
But
and I also feel
unfortunately, police aren't trained in that mental thought.
And I mean, like, we've seen this in numerous films, we've seen in TV series. When there's always somebody with, like, and you could tell when someone don't want to do nothing because they're not lunging at you. He didn't look like he wanted to do anything.
No, exactly.
You would often see one of the
usually
police officers.
Usually get into a stance at the very least.
Right. You would also see one of the police officers engage the person and say, listen, I'm putting my knife away or I'm putting my gun away.
Yeah.
Put yours away.
But that's what I meant about, like, at least one of the police officers taking some type of control and taking the lead.
They're fully aware that if anything should go wrong, they got 2 or 3 other people covering them.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to put this down. I want you to put it down. I just want you to talk to me. That's all they had to do. And to me, it's like you shoot him 3 times and he turns around and walks away. And you still find it necessary to shoot him another 2 times. He falls over and then now, as opposed to saying, okay, well, chances are he's not going to kind of like stab us. Let's try to just see if we could get help at this point. He doesn't have to die for this.
Yeah.
I literally watched him for another 50, 60 seconds barking orders.
Him,
yeah, you know what I mean? Still maintaining a distance from him, which is crazy to me.
Man. I mean, we could go on and on, but...
Yeah, it's sad. We just had to give you guys the update on that. I think it was necessary.
Yeah, it was necessary to double back on it, and especially since this video came out, to give an update on what happened. And, yeah... I mean, the family is pressing charges against the police that did it. They want some type of action taken against them. So when that comes out, we'll update you guys again, essentially.
Right. I mean, it's sad because at this point, no one wins. You know what I mean?
No one wins at all. All right. You want to talk about a poo?
They're writing a poo off The Simpsons.
You want to talk about it?
What's there to talk about?
I mean, I think it's the wrong move. I honestly think it's the wrong move.
I think like a show like The Simpsons, like he obviously is a staple of the show. One of them.
Yeah,
obviously.
he's one of the major side characters on the
Right.
show.
And I mean, to write him off is almost like, how do you do that?
I just feel like it's such a, like we talk about the sensitivities and the reactionaries and the way people have approached these type of issues.
Right.
And I just feel like it's such an extreme approach to something that's an easy fix.
But I haven't been following.
Okay, well, originally there was, I believe it was a comedian who was of Southeast Asian descent who basically talked about, he wrote a book that mentioned how his family felt whenever they heard about a poo, you know, and the way a poo affected his family's life because they never saw it as like a proper representation of
right.
like an Indian native family.
Right.
You know? So on top of that, like his book really talks about like the different ways in which a poo has affected Southeast Asian people.
Negative or I'm assuming negatively?
Yeah, majority of the negative ways, like from people teasing them and calling them a poos, or, you know, people doing a poo's like voice,
Right.
things like that. And I mean, like things that, yeah, like things that I've even seen happen before, you know,
for sure.
in terms of like the way a poo's character
Right.
has been used to demean people
Right.
of that heritage. So in a sense, I can understand where there's a little bit of backlash towards this character,
Right.
but I don't think The Simpsons writing off this character is the solution to what this character has meant to these people.
Right.
You know, like, and I know a lot of people have been bringing up the conversation about how, you know, well, I'll say this. I have a few of my brown friends who, when this story came up, I asked them straight up, I was like, yo, how do you guys feel about a poo? And majority of them said, as far as the character, how he's been written into the show and things like that, they have no issue with who the character is. The biggest issue they had was obviously with the voice, because they're like, yeah, it's not a Southeast Asian accent,
Right.
like or like a that person coming to America or Canada accent, you know. So for them, it was like that's the only thing that ever was really offensive to them because that's not how they sound. But outside of that, like you're looking at a character who owned a business, got married, had kids, was a
Right.
good father, really wasn't controversial in the sense of like who he was as a person.
Right.
The only controversies were the stereotypes that the creators of this character put on him and then those stereotypes being used against them. So I felt, or my personal feel after them telling me this is, why not just have essentially a recreation of the character?
But isn't it to me personally, if we're gonna look at it from that lens, isn't all the characters of The Simpsons done the same way? Because
Every character in The Simpsons is essentially some type of stereotype. Well, not necessarily The Simpsons themselves,
but of course they are.
The Simpsons are an exaggeration of the American family. They're not
Right.
really a stereotype outside of like, you know, like Homer being a fat slob, like that you can, but that can be fit for any type of fat, slobbish, gluttonous person.
But
that's
I mean,
not necessarily specific to like white American family, you know?
well, I'm not gonna say how to put this in the proper way.
But going on with it, like when you look at a lot of the characters in the show,
right.
a lot of them are built on exaggerated stereotypes.
Right.
You know,
And that's where Apu's situation is.
yeah, you have
exaggerated.
Apu, exaggerated stereotypes. You have Groundskeeper Willie, exaggerated stereotypes.
Right.
You have the German kid that eats chocolate.
Right.
You have
Mr. Barnes.
Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Sorry.
You have Mo,
Mo.
who's like the suicidal bar owner whose business is
You
shit.
have Lenny.
Yeah, like there's we can go through the whole
They're
fucking
all
list,
exaggerated. So to me, I feel like writing something like that, I think it's also a situation where somebody took it personal have a platform to then vocalize their feelings.
Yeah.
And now you're taken away because it's like, we complain in some ways that, okay, diversity is not shown. Like, I mean, when you were talking, all I was thinking about was the Big Bang Theory and how Raj, they use Raj as this exemplary person for Southeast Asian culture, right? Luckily, it's the last season. Eventually, he might have to write him off too, right? Like, I mean, if you get sensitive about everything, it's the same thing for, like, Martin, when, you know what I mean? All these characters on these shows are all exaggerated. That's why they're humorous.
Well, I think the difference with Raj in comparison to Apu is Raj is actually a Southeast Asian person playing that character, whereas Apu is a created character from a white man who's voiced by another white person. So you can make that argument of you didn't even have that insight of what could work for this character.
Right, but that's the whole point. It's about being exaggerated.
No,
that's the whole
not
premise.
arguing that.
So if they were to have a person who did Apu's voice, who's natively Indian, let's say, would it blend in with the rest of the show? Would it have the same effect? That's the whole.
Know.
You know what I mean? So
I don't know. But as I'm saying, when it comes to the controversy that's been like lit within the last, I want to say, 2 years, if they felt or considering it's become such a big issue where you have people coming out and really saying, yeah, like, this has been a problematic character in my life because this character has been used against me in X, Y, and Z form, then for the creators, you look at it and say, you know what? We respect what you're saying. We get it. And from this point on, we're going to create this character in a way that, although like it still holds what is the essence of the show, it's a better and more respected representation of you so that it doesn't reflect negatively on your community. I think but I'm just saying as in a place of what's the easy fix for this, considering when you really look down to the bare bones of this character, I can completely understand why Southeast Asians would look at this character and say, this is a fucked up character. Like, I can get that. But at the same time, I don't think the extreme of we're just going to write this character off is the right answer.
Well, the thing is like, and I don't want to draw the line to say they're the same thing, but it's like when you had that guy who owns the Clippers, what's his name again?
Oh, Sterling?
Sterling. I think the league kicking him out of the league was the wrong move. I think they should have keep him in the league, but fine him, do something like that. I think when there's something wrong, the worst thing to do is to completely remove it. It's more to correct it. Like, I agree with what you said. Yeah. Get a character, someone who is of East Indian or East African or whatever it is, and have them do the voice for it, right? Maybe obviously it would change the flow of the show. Maybe it would, but at the end of the day, removing it completely, it doesn't help.
No, I don't think it helps either.
Right, and to me, that's how I feel like with Sterling, they should have never removed him either.
Well, when it came to Sterling, I think it's more than simply looking at what he did and being like, well, just slap a couple million and then walk away. Because in that place, you had text messages that were exposed, audio was exposed.
But you don't think. But the point is, what I'm saying is.
But no, I'm just specifically for Sterling right now.
Removing. What I'm saying is, the NBA figured removing Sterling would solve the issue of racism or racist owner or whatever the case may be. And I'm saying to you that I don't think
that's what they were trying to do.
Well, what were they trying to do?
What they were doing was essentially saying you can't conduct yourself this way and be a part of this organization.
And that is a falsehood because we know without a reasonable doubt that there's other people in the league who are owners who have the same mentality as him that just hasn't been exposed.
They can have, but that's the thing. They haven't been exposed.
Right, but that's my point.
We can't make predetermined prejudices against people unless I agree. That's what they expose themselves and they put it out in the spotlight.
But what I'm saying to you is they should have used Sterling to be a conversational starter. Just like they should use Apu to be a conversational starter.
Well, look, Sterling was a topic of conversation with everything
but
that happened.
But not in the way that it was progressive.
When you're the owner
but not in the way that it was progressive.
But understand something. Look, it's more than that, because now you're telling the players on the team, the people that work for this guy, that you can go out and be blatantly racist and have these type of racist comments be out there, and the only thing that's going to happen is, for you, a billionaire, is a couple $1 million are going to be sent as a punishment, and you're going to get to keep everything you have.
But
it sends a bad message, not only to people underneath the umbrella of what he owns, but also to the league as a whole, that you're allowing a racist to keep their position, knowing that they are racist and that they hold these type of ideals. You can't do that.
But the whole thing, I'm not saying neither of those things. Like, what they did, kick him out of the league, was like, okay, but he still left with his billions of dollars. What I'm saying to you is, socially, when we have these type of problems, it's our way of, we think like removing them from the society, removing them out of the space they're in, somehow rectifies it and push us forward as a society. It doesn't. All it does is it takes all the people who thinks just like him, and it pushes them away, and they all go back into their hiding, so to speak. I think, like, for Apu, I think, like, literally this shouldn't write him off. I think it's...
No, I don't think they should write him off. For Sterling, I think it was just deserved for him to be fired, or lose the team. I think it was fully deserved.
I could understand where you're coming from, but for me personally, it doesn't eradicate...
Because I just look at it as you said, there's this idea of, because there's maybe other owners who think this way, but they haven't been exposed. That's speculation. I can't speak on things that are unknown. I can only speak on the thing that is known. I would never want to put, let's say I'm Silver in this situation. I would never want to put anybody who's a part of this organization in a position where they have to choose whether they want to keep a job under a racist owner to keep up their livelihood, or lose that job because we want to keep that guy there for whatever reason, knowing what he's done. And the thing is, it's such a public thing. Like, you remember, the amount of issues that came with the Clippers, where the players were noticeably pissed off, didn't want to wear their jerseys during a game. Like, they had the whole fiasco that was going down. And it's obviously because this is a very heavily African American advanced organization. You're looking at damn near every single team is majority African American. In the Clippers themselves, whether it's people that are working on the team, people that are trainers, etc. You can't have that be the head, the known head of an organization, and it be okay, but or excuse.
The reason why I say that is because the thing is, them getting rid of Sterling, and as an organization, rather speak on the issue, address the issue, find a solution to be progressive about the issue.
And that's the thing. You can have that happen.
Let me just finish.
You can have that happen.
Is one of the reasons why the NFL is behaving the way they're behaving. Because whether we want to admit it or not openly, the NFL is literally Donald Sterling. And just that they're in a position of power where they're like, no, we're not going to remove ourselves. And no one is going to agree to remove us or change your way of doing it. I think once conversations start happening in those type of way where something is offensive and we have an issue with it, it's not about, okay, well, it bothers you, let me remove it. It's more like conversation. We need to get, as humanity, as humans, we should be able to converse, get to know each other, get to know the perspective, and then, find a solution. I think the idea of taking something out is almost like giving the idea of a false sense of we solve an issue. The issue is not solved.
But the thing is, that issue is so much bigger than just that one person who's committed the crime here, or the foul in this sense. Where there's no way you can go about having a conversation of change and fix without taking that primary part of it out.
I think there's ways.
Because if you allow him to keep that team, after he does something like that, but then you want to sit here and have a conversation about how wrong this is and how we should do it, people aren't going to respect that conversation.
Well, I mean,
because
let's be honest, though.
But like we're not going to respect it because we are literally looking at a billionaire who we saw have text messages and audio conversation spewing racist rhetoric, yet he's still sitting there.
The problem,
but yeah, you want to sit here and tell me this is wrong and we shouldn't do this and we shouldn't speak like no, I'm not going to believe you.
The thing about it, though, the thing about why I say that is because prior to all of the tech, and I know this is not about Donald Sterling, and I'm sorry I brought this up, but even with all this conversation with him, being exposed, you had players like Baron Davis who had gone already to complain. It's just that it wasn't public, so they quieted down. They only did this because it reached on a level where public people
Keep
were
in mind,
aware.
Silver wasn't there at the time when Baron Davis made those.
But Silver was still...
no, it wasn't Silver. It was Stern.
It was Stern, but Silver was part of the commissioner team.
But I'm just saying he wasn't the head.
Right, I understand that.
Because the one thing that Silver, when he came in, was about changing that type of culture.
Fine, so be it. But the point, what I'm saying is, as humans, when we have something that we disagree with, as opposed to finding a quick solution, I think we should engage in conversation and better understanding, and it help us progress better, as opposed to, it's just like tit for tat. I feel like we're doing, because soon I'm sure they're gonna have what's that black family name on The Simpsons? There's a black family on The Simpsons.
I haven't watched The Simpsons
it's so long I haven't watched it. But there is a black character on The Simpsons.
Don't ask me about names, bro.
There's a black character on The Simpsons. Am I wrong?
Yeah, there's a few black characters on The Simpsons.
Soon someone's gonna pop up and be like, "Oh, well, we don't like that." And then the neighbor was a priest, right?
No, he was just a very devout Christian. Ned Flanders.
So
I remember Ned Flanders.
Ned Flanders. Maybe they might have a problem with that too. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like at this point, conversation helps more than just eradication. That's how I see it.
Conversation helps, but at a certain level, there has to be some type of action that shows that there's disapproval.
Oh, for sure, there could be disapproval. I'm not saying you shouldn't. And I think at the end of the day, disapproval in the sense of people stop buying tickets to their games or whatever the case may be, that's fine. But removing somebody, it doesn't...
No, like, I'll say like this. If you see a kid doing something bad...
Right.
But they never have consequence to their action...
Right.
Outside of being told, don't do that...
Right.
They're just going to keep doing it.
Right. But what I'm saying is, when you see a kid doing something bad, or not seeing, or even finding out that a kid's doing something bad, as opposed to, going at them and be like, oh, I'm going to take away your Xbox, I'm going to take away this, you're grounded for 6 weeks. Why not have a conversation? Why are you doing this?
Well, yeah, you can have that conversation with them.
Right, but the whole point...
But still take their Xbox away.
No, I just don't... I think once you do that...
Because I can tell you, like, even for myself...
Right.
If there's absolutely no consequence, if you're just going to keep talking to me, I'm going to keep letting you have that conversation. But essentially, you're allowing me to keep this going because I've lost nothing from a conversation.
Right, but it's the same concept. If you're going to say that, it's the same thing that we discussed previously with Nicolas Gibbs. It's the same thing. It's a concept of people like to show that they're in control, as opposed to gaining control of a situation.
Well, no, the difference with that is it's the approach.
Right, but exactly. That's where I want to get
to.
But
the approach in the sense of this is a life or death situation, and their approach wasn't to diffuse the situation. Their approach was to essentially make him obey or make him suffer.
Right, and it's the same concept when you kick someone out of the league or you remove someone off a TV show. It, as opposed to understanding, is to exert power.
But what's to understand here? Racism is bad. You committed a racist act. You're part of an organization that has to have... You have to be within a personal conduct of this organization, and you're not exerting that.
Right. Let's be honest, though. You're dealing with a bunch of not middle-aged white guys. You're dealing with a bunch of white guys who grew up during the racist era, who've made money in a certain way. That you think you all of a sudden that they're gonna change. You don't. To me, that's where.
But you see that's dismissive. That's not that's not what's going on here.
What?
You can be that way.
Right.
Like if you're a racist asshole, you can be a racist asshole.
Right.
But you can't be a racist asshole in public for everybody to see, considering your position.
Wow.
It's that fucking simple.
That's where I disagree.
No, but like you're saying like predetermined racism against people who I can't tell you all these owners are racist. I can't tell you that because I have no fucking idea. But if I see text messages and audio of you being racist, guess what? Now here's where the discipline has to come in action.
Right. But what I'm not contesting the discipline. What I'm saying as humans, that should be the opportunity we take for conversation, for dialogue.
And a lot of dialogue and conversation happened.
But
when this situation went down.
But it was all about remove him. He's this, he's that.
You remove the problem.
Right.
And now you address the problem.
But that's my point. This is where I'm getting. Wait, how many conversation was?
I don't get for your stance of he should have kept his job. Like, in what situation where you are part of this big organization that is basically run because of minorities,
right?
That you can have an owner in a position that he's in be blatantly racist and think we can get out of this with him keeping his position.
Bro, how does the NFL run with them blatantly being...
But that's what I'm saying. That's another situation where you're doing speculation on what these people's...
It's speculation?
No, yeah, you're doing complete speculation.
But for them to not allowing players to kneels and all that type of shit for the purpose...
That's all PR. Look, I can't say because they don't want a player to kneel that they're a racist person and that we should...
For the cause that it really is and...
You can't do that.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that. And look... I get where your frustration would be with that, but that's not, you can't connect that dot to that dot. No, you can't. Them not wanting them to kneel, them wanting to stand for the anthem, we may not agree with them enforcing that because of the various things in the Constitution that they always want to big up, but we can't use that as a means of, they're being racist towards us. Absolutely not. You can't make that connection.
Why not?
Because that's not a racist act. What's racist with them saying, no, I want you to stand for the flag, even though we don't agree with it? And look, I don't agree with them telling them that. But I can't say because they're telling them they want them to stand for the flag that that's racism towards them. No, because they're not just saying that to their black players. They're saying to every player, stand for the flag. Or if you're going to protest, do it a different way. Which majority of
players were kneeling,
But what I'm saying is you can't make a connection of them saying that because you had players like Chris Long who were very vocal, who's a white player, about how they don't agree with the things that these owners were saying. And even they were against him and telling him, no, we still want you to either protest it or demonstrate in a different way, but be present for the flag, stand for the flag. Like, anyways, you can't make that connection.
The connection could be made, and I could agree with what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing with your opinion. You're entitled to that. But I see it to be one and the same. That's just how I see it. And I feel like as we're so sensitive in this era that when something bothers us, the sole solution is to eradicate it, remove it completely.
And I don't agree with eradicating everything that makes us feel sensitive, but I'm sorry. Racism, the way he did it, like the way he was just, come on.
Bro,
you can't keep him there. You can't keep him there. There has to be a line. There has to be a boundary that it's like you cross the line. And when you cross the line, I'm sorry, there are certain consequences that need to be done.
Again, I'm not against consequences.
Because look, if let's say you're an employee and you're a representative of a store or whatever, and these comments are made public about you, the store holds the right to fire you for that.
Right.
Because they have their PR to maintain. They have an image that they have to maintain.
Okay, so let me rephrase what I said. Because I think you're making what they should have done, as opposed to making it like, okay, we're going to resolve this situation by forcing them to sell the team. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They should yes, they could. That's fine. I don't care about him owning the team. But what I'm saying is that should have been an opportunity for a healthy dialogue. Because let's face it, whether you want to call it speculation or not, these type of people exist in these positions. You can't tell me they don't and it's speculation and this and that. They do.
But the point is, you can't just say that and let that be the reason why it's like it's okay for him.
It's not
and what he did.
I know. I'm never saying it. I've never said it's okay.
So why even bring it up? It's irrelevant.
No, I was trying to draw the parallel.
But
Whereas,
it's an irrelevant parallel.
No, it's not. You can't say to you it's irrelevant. But what I'm saying is,
where's the relevance?
The relevancy is like when something goes against what we want, or there's a social uproar about something, as opposed to having a conversation where it's understood as to why it's done that way or why they're upset about something. It's simply remove that one thing. That's what I'm trying to show you.
But you're saying there's no conversation that happened afterwards about this whole racism situation?
Well, let's progress, because I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
No, I'm fully understanding. I'm just trying to figure out.
Of course, there's conversation, but it wasn't done in the way, because it was built in such a frenzy that all you wanted was this and this alone, and we didn't seize the opportunity to have the conversation where it's like, whether you do this in private, whether this is the way you think, it's wrong, period. Again, like you said, you don't care what they do in their private life, as long as it doesn't come public. That's when it becomes a problem. What I'm saying is, for them to even have it in their private life is a problem. That's what I'm saying. So that's what the conversation should be held.
Them having it in their private life obviously is a problem. Any type of racism in any shape or form is a problem, but I can't criminalize you for something that you don't make public. That's what I'm saying when you're talking about these NFL owners. If they've never shown any blatant sign of them being a racist person, I can't vilify you for something I don't know you do privately. I can't.
So, anyways, I'm not going to have this conversation.
We're talking about theories of known unknowns and unknowns right now.
Bro.
I can't charge you for an unknown unknown.
So Kaepernick not being picked up on a team is just the way things work out. It's not because he made.
You can make an argument for collusion.
Right.
That's not an argument for racism.
It's not about racism in the sense of what you're saying. This conversation shouldn't have been focused around racism. The conversation I was trying to have with you.
You brought up Donald Sterling. Racism.
Right, but it wasn't about. I was bringing up the conversation in the sense that you have somebody who does something that upset a group of people, right? Yeah. As opposed to having, obviously what he did was racist, yes, 110%. But as opposed to eradicating or taking out that, like, be like, okay, we're going to remove Donald Sterling. I don't care what he did. It could have been against women, it could have been whatever, but just he did something that upset a group of people. Removing him, I was trying to draw the parallel where there's this Indian writer, a group of Indian people who felt that Apu affected them negatively, and then it's to remove Apu. That's what I'm trying to draw the reference to. It wasn't about what
and we have said, or at least I have said, I don't feel Matt should have made that decision to remove him. I felt he should have changed the character
right,
to
and
make
that's
it
what I'm
relevant
saying.
To what is going on today.
But that's what I was saying. We were saying the same thing, but you made it about what Donald Sterling did.
You brought up Donald Sterling.
I didn't say I didn't bring it up, but you focused so much about his action as opposed to the context in which I presented the parallel.
But the reason I did that is because you were comparing, like, the comparison of moving Apu for the reasons that Apu is being removed, which none of us agree with, whereas the reason Sterling was removed, I fully feel he should have been removed. That's where this whole argument started.
Okay, continue, because I don't think we're not seeing eye to eye. So it's
obviously not.
Yeah,
because he should have been removed.
All right.
Took way too long to get there. Next on the list, we're just gonna start to run this off. All right, so next on the docket, some career nights in the NBA.
Yep, big week.
We had Klay Thompson, 14 threes, fucking monster, 52 points in 3 quarters.
Nuts.
Led the Golden State Warriors to a nice win over the Chicago Bulls, who right now are just looking like the dumpster fire. What is true?
I mean, they're a young team, so I can understand that.
What, the Bulls? Tyler has this thing now where, like, whoever's like the worst team in a league, he's just jumping on their bandwagon.
Yep.
I mean, what better time to take him than when like they're literally in the
Their
gutter?
lowest.
So there you go. He's currently a Chicago Bulls and Cleveland Browns fan.
I mean, Chicago Bulls have a legacy, though.
But you know, right now that legacy means nothing.
I don't know. Seems like they have a legacy.
Like if
still.
right now he was like jumping on the Golden State Warriors bandwagon, I would have a problem.
That is a dick rider.
You know? But yeah, man. Did you watch the game?
We were here.
Oh, that's true. We were here. I watched the highlights.
So did I. The closest I got to a game, bro.
I was gonna be like, tell me about it.
No, we were both here.
Keep in mind, I was sick. Okay, so memories are fading.
I was sick too, and I've been sick for the past 4 weeks.
What?
3 weeks, yeah.
You've been sick for 4 weeks?
3 weeks, something like that.
Maybe you gave it to me, man. I thought it was Jason.
Oh. Yeah, but my sickness is, I'm good.
Is what? Sickness is women.
Anyways, so yeah, we could also address Derrick Rose.
Don't make me laugh.
Looking like the young Derrick Rose that we,
Dying.
Such a loser.
No, I'm not laughing. I'm coughing. Jamali, you know I'm sick. Come on.
We could address Derrick Rose now.
Derrick Rose had a I won't say it was historic.
It was.
Because it was a career high for him, 50 points, but it was like he turned back the clock.
Bruh.
He looked like he had his original knees, man.
Bro, he looked like he got that bounce back.
You know? Dr. Miami gave some new kneecaps, bro. I was proud of him.
Don't say that. That's rude.
Hey, everything he's been through, man, everything he's been through from on the court, off the court.
It was well deserved.
I was happy to see that he looked like Derrick Rose of old. You know, and I felt like it was a good win for him, you know?
Personally, it was a personal achievement.
Like, we were looking at him at one point like, dude, just retire.
I feel at this point, hypothetically speaking, if he was to be cut from the Timberwolves and no team picked him up, he could at least go out happier than he was if he, let's say, New York, after New York or after...
Well, the one thing I will say, like, even with all the circus and charades that have been going around with the Timberwolves, the one thing Tim Thibodeau has always been about is he's felt like Derrick Rose could be who he knew him as, like, in the past, and like when everybody was essentially just like, no, like it's over for him, like he should leave, like the injuries are one thing, what's happening in his personal life is another thing. It's like just the list of reasons why any other player would most likely would have just walked away at this point. But the fact that Tim Thibodeau was really like, no, like I know he's still there. Like I know he still got it. And I'm not saying like this is going to be something where like, yeah, you drop 50 now and you're going to be a 26 plus a game person.
Bro, you never know, bro. You're dealing with that.
But I mean, it's more of a reality thing than a hopes and dreams.
But I also feel like when you watch the way Derrick Rose played and the chemistry he had with the team, I feel like this is something like, yeah, obviously he's not going to drop 52 every night, but I could see him putting up good numbers consecutively.
No, I think so too. Like, because the one thing, his shot was what was really bringing it out for him. Like he got a few points in the paint. You saw him driving the lane, and like I said, like it was flashes of like Derrick Rose of old. But it was the fact that like I think he had 4 3-pointers, and which is threes have never really been a part of his repertoire. And on top of that, like he had a lot of like mid-range jumpers and things like that. So you were seeing like it wasn't just like a one-dimensional game. Like he was very much diverse. He was spreading it out. He was showing like he's evolved as a player, which considering your injuries, considering like you're not a young player anymore, and
he's like what, 30 now?
Yeah, 31, I believe. 30, 31, maybe. Not too sure, but yeah, you're not a young player, but your age doesn't actually show your player age because with those injuries, each injury tacks on years to your age.
That's why, like when they said like we got flashbacks of like the old Derrick Rose, I didn't feel like that. I just felt like we got a new and improved because old Derrick Rose was slasher, driving straight to the hoop, jumping out of the gym.
Yeah.
This one was more like a sound, like took good shots. There was no forced shots.
Yeah.
Like everything was just like meticulous the way he just did his thing. was surgical almost.
Yeah, it was very
It
clinical.
was beautiful
about
to
it, man.
watch, and I was happy. Like, I mean, to watch him get emotional at the end, it was just like, wow.
I remember I got a bit emotional, man.
I know, I felt it. I was like, yo, this is so well deserved right now.
It's like one of those comeback stories in a sense. You know, it's like you see somebody just trying their hardest to not necessarily be who they were before, but at least get to a point where they can just be competitive and keep up. And for him to have this type of night, especially on a night where like Jimmy Butler wasn't there.
Teague wasn't there either, right?
Yeah, I believe Teague wasn't there either, but it's like, yeah, like you did. And then on top of that, it's like even though you put up these massive numbers, the biggest play for that game was him blocking the three-pointer that won him the game, you know? So it's like not only were you doing it offensively, but you were doing it defensively as well.
For sure.
So
he
like,
had a couple steals to go along with that.
yeah, like he was showing like he was pretty much everywhere he needed to be that night.
Hey, man. I was happy to see that.
Yeah, man. So you had him and Klay Thompson, man. I don't know if you want to dive a bit deeper on Klay or, you know, Warriors.
I would say Klay was the better shooter than Steph Curry, but, you know. The world's just seeing it now.
Look, this is the one record for three-point shooting.
Klay has a
Klay
better
broke.
shot than Steph Curry.
Steph Curry currently holds all the records for three-point shooting.
Yeah, but how often does Klay versus how many times? Like, if you look at percentage-wise.
I don't know. I think it's way too early to make that claim because we've seen Steph
No,
Curry.
it's not early. I've been saying that for
no,
years.
but like we've seen Steph Curry literally
Curry's
cross
not
half
a
court
pure
and pull
shooter
up.
than
What?
He's a pure shooter.
Yeah. Dude,
Like
is
his
water
form,
wet?
Who has a better form?
Is water wet?
Who has a better form?
Oh, Steph Curry, man. I'm sorry.
Has a better form than Klay?
Yes.
No, I don't think
Water wet?
so. No.
Is water wet?
No, that's dry ice, bro.
You're out your mind, man. I'm sorry, look. Klay, yeah, he got that shot. That shot nice. But Steph Curry, dude, wherever it is on the court, like I said, is water wet?
Yep.
There you go. Wherever it is on the court. Wherever it is on the court, that's the answer. Is water wet? Yes, that's Steph Curry. Sorry, man. The Bulls are gonna get. Oh man. Tyler has never watched a basketball game in his life. All right, man. We just had to come back and drop that little historic tidbit in the NBA. Wrap this up. Are any last things you want to drop to the people?
Not even, man.
Not even. You don't want to talk to them about next week?
What's next week?
It's the birthday episode.
Oh, for y'all.
For me.
It ain't mine, so I don't really care.
I might come here with some champagne.
You're always welcome to do that.
Don't mean you're going to drink any. You being a dick. You being rude.
I have one.
You being mean all week. I'm not feeling it. Bring champagne for myself, for Tyler. That's my man, 100 grand. Dopest white boy I know next to my old roommate.
Why race got to be part of this? Why does race got to be a part of this?
There's only two white boys I respect. Tyler
is just
and my
pretty
old
dope.
roommate. My boy Epi. Shout out to him. Outside of that, I don't trust any white people.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, it's my birthday week coming up. It's also Jason's zone. Shout out to him, even though he's not here. We're going to have a jolly good time. I'm telling you right now, I am not looking for any topics for next week. Why? It's my fucking birthday. I don't have to do work. I'm just going to show up here probably drunk. And I'm just going to get in front of the mic and whatever comes out,
next week
comes
I'm
out.
taking a week off, guys. So you guys hear my voice in 2 weeks.
And I will be healthy. Sorry to cough. I will be healthy.
And you'd hear my voice in 2 weeks from now.
Yo, if I'm the only one on the mic, I do not care. I will enjoy the fuck out of myself.
We'll let you have a go at it.
I will literally turn this into like a fucking Much Music dance party.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
For those of you old enough to know what those are.
Oh Lord.
That's a nice shout out to you guys. So yes, people, anticipated next week, birthday week podcast for the Scorpios. We will make sure Jason's here so he can pop champagne with us as well.
Right.
Why you look so upset?
I'm not upset.
I think Jamali's mad that he doesn't share in the birthday week festivities of myself and Jason.
I don't need to. I love my birthday.
Yeah, whatever. It's in April.
Yeah,
It's like,
springtime, baby.
It's not quite cold, but it's not quite warm. It's like right in the middle
but
of
it's also-
nobody giving a fuck.
It's also the stage of new beginning. Don't hate. Everything is
Yeah, new
blossoming.
beginnings of it's really slushy outside. I'm going to stay in. Yeah, I will say August is a win. Tyler's in August. You know, for you ladies
August is not a win.
that want to hook him up with a little...
August is depressive.
August is a win.
No, but like
August
when
is a
August
win.
come around and ends, you're like, oh fuck, winter's here. August is like,
Yeah,
it's like
September.
it's like one of those things where you're like, ah.
August is still a great time.
Yeah, like honestly, no, it's not. July is the best month.
fuck
If you ask
September.
me, July is the best month. No, August is like depressive. It's like if you're a student, you're like only people who like August is parents. You get those kids back into school.
I
and
can't speak for anybody else here, but I had a great August this year. So,
Of course, August is not a bad month, but I'm just saying the only people that look
So
forward to
you're
that shit is
backtracking already?
parents. Parents look forward to that shit.
you're backpedaling better than a cornerback, bro.
Get
Trying
the
to handle Randy
Get
Mouse.
the fuck out of here. There's a lot worse months than August for
Look,
sure.
just anticipate it. It's going to be a motherfucking party. Like I said,
There's no
I
party.
am not looking for any news. I'm not trying to figure out what's going to be great in my week or not. I just know the mental health will be up because I won't be sick anymore.
Oh, God.
I'll be here with alcohol, and it's going to be a Much Music Dance Party. It's going to be great.
by yourself.
Bitch, yes.
That's good.
Some of the best parties I've ever had were by myself. Why?
Yeah.
Because all I need is me.
Yeah,
I'm that good.
yeah. I don't need to know that. Thank you.
Jamali, you want to sign out?
We out. Love is love. Stay positive.
Peace out, everyone. Thank you for
Thank
listening.
you for tuning in.
As always, you know you can listen to us. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We put the links in the bio, so I don't gotta say them anymore. And outside of that, be safe, protect that mental health. Enjoy your week, guys. Peace.
Peace.